Hey, good morning. I'm Jeremy. Why don't you come along and join me on my journey today? Last year I picked up a 95 Aerostar van, and that project ended up not working out so well. After doing a bunch of work and all that, driving it downtown and then back, it was about 50 kilometers, and I blew the head gasket. It was on its way out, but with all the other new heating components, it made that the weakest point. So this year, it's a full year later, I picked up a 2002 GMC Safari all-wheel drive, passenger edition. So it's the one with the seats in it. I was trying to get one with a cargo van, but the cargo vans didn't have as many features like cruise control, power windows, power locks, and all that. The ones I was looking at anyways. And finding any of them in all-wheel drive was pretty hard. I found this one about 2 hours outside of Edmonton. I was really happy to get it. Prior to shooting this video, I just came back from about a 10,000 kilometer round trip to Ontario in it. So I got to learn about all the different problems and issues that it may or may not have. I hadn't converted it or anything beforehand. I put a piece of plywood on the top of 4 Rubbermaid bins with my clothes and tools and stuff in it, and drove out to visit my family there for, I think it was 6 weeks. But yeah, so now I'm on my journey of retrofitting it and turning it into a camper. So I can enjoy some other future road trips with a few more amenities than a Rubbermaid bin and a piece of plywood. So let's take a look. Well, I just finished removing the interior, or the lower portion of it. I'm hoping to keep some of the upper pieces and blend it in somehow. These guys with the speakers and just the upper supports. I got my heater in from my last trip, but I still haven't used it. I got to finish wiring that in, but I actually might move it. Up here is where I replaced my fuel pump from above instead of dropping the tank. But the measurements for doing all that will be somewhere else. And it was a lot easier to do that than drop the tank and risk breaking bolts and the filler nozzle and such. Anyway, I wanted to take out the interior just to see how much added room I'd get, and by the looks of it, I might have gained 6 inches across, and we'll see. I got all the measurements prior to stripping it out, and I'll take some measurements with it stripped out and see how much I build it out. This is the current location I have my heater. It worked for my trip, or the location worked, even though I didn't need to use it. But ideally it's in a really crappy spot. I'd like to be able to put, like if I have to put anything in, I gotta lift it over the heater, and that doesn't work. So I've decided that I'm going to move my heater, my auxiliary heater here, from the back to this little spot over here. Since it's currently mounted to the floor, I'm just going to use this box as an example, but it's roughly the same size. I'm going to mount it up here, run the exhaust and everything down, exhaust and intake down through the floor. I'm going to build a table that goes across out of metal. Right now I am just going to remove this bracket, which was the jack and all the parts you need for your jack, and wheel iron and everything. I'm just going to sawzall that bracket off and make some room so I can make a new bracket. to move the heater over into that spot where I just removed that guy. The heater is going to go over there instead. I'm going to lift it up and have it sitting there. And this side is going to have my bed, so less noise right below my head would be good too. We're just going to take a look at the different renditions or layouts that I came up with for the Safari van. What I originally did was, or my first thing I did was this one right here, this guy. I took all the measurements from the van and I laid them out, so I had a base to work with. Laid out the sliding door, the fender wells or the wheel wells, the back doors, the exact location of all the seat mounts. I'll need to use these 4 at the front still. My actual length to the back of the driver's seat in the position that I like, the current width. And then these were all measurements I took prior to taking all the plastics out. So they are going to change just slightly. Also, things like the top of the doors, in this I have them squared off. They are not square, they're a little bit of a bevel and rounded. So I'll have to take that into consideration as I do stuff as well. Once I remove the plastics, these wheel wells will be probably 6 to 8 inches wide instead of just a little carpeted cover. As you can see, I've got little pieces laying out all over the place. Every time I designed something, I didn't delete it, I just kind of sat it aside, and that way I could still use it as an idea or a base. I started right here with just a basic box with a mattress on it, and I figured, yeah, that I need to utilize that space a little bit better. This here was a drawer that I figured I'd slide right into here. Don't know if I can do this easily, but yeah, I'd slide into here, and you could access it from the sliding door. But the problem with that is I wouldn't be able to put a bench seat in. So that's where I turned to something like this, where this would fold backwards on the top when I needed to use the bench seat, and then these legs would fold in and the mattress would just lay on top. But then I'm left with this dead space and I'm not sure what to do with it. I can't really put the drawer in. I could build a drawer that could be removed, but then I have to store the drawer somewhere. I kind of like that idea, so I moved on to using a square tubing frame idea, where this tubing would, I don't know if I can do it, no. This square tubing part would slide and go inside of this cabinet here and be tucked out of the way, and then I still could store stuff underneath the bed. And I had the idea of making a drawer that comes out the back doors instead. And I really like that idea of the big drawer out the back door. I made this little storage spot over top of the wheel well, but I'm not sure if that's going to work at all, as I don't really like the idea of having to lift the bed in order to access a storage spot. My base idea right now is this one. So it's utilizing that metal slide-in frame. And I still have the pocket here, but I'm undecided on what to do. It might just be a void space over the wheel well. I haven't drawn in exactly the big drawer, but the idea is to have the big drawer here, and it slides out through the back door this way. And when I need to put the bench seat in this area, I just slide this metal frame into here. This frame will be an inch or two shorter than the box, and that way it can slide in nice and flush to this, and then just drop in the seat. This is the vent for my heater, and then a cabinet. I haven't really completely decided on the cabinet yet, if there'd be one drawer, two drawers, or three, or just one really big drawer. The top as well, I'm not sure what to do quite yet. It could be a catch-all. This wall has actually got a curve to it, so that would be a custom fit item.
This section that's behind the bed is 16 inches in depth from the back of the back wall to the door. This will actually be a wall all the way across to 3/4 inch plywood. Inside this cabinet will be my battery, my charge controller, stuff like that, and to keep it separate from my living area, and I'll also have access to the large drawer. So that's my current working model. It's probably going to evolve over time as I start working on the van, and as each piece is custom fit and custom made, and as I put stuff in, such as this cabinet, I'll build the cabinet box, and then I'll sit in the van and I'll get a feel for what's going to work and what's not going to work.
While I was putting this video together, I realized I didn't have any shots of the exterior. The body's in really great shape, very little rust. There's a bit of damage on the front passenger fender. It looks like somebody backed into it and that rusted out over a short period of time by the looks of it. So I'm going to try a scrapyard, pick one of those up and replace that. But by the looks of it, it's a pretty solid body and no other damage. But as we go through all the work, we'll investigate every little piece and double check, and if it needs to be fixed or replaced, that's what we're going to do. So thanks for hanging around with me on the journey today, and until the next one.